Hi friends, it's Taylor. Welcome back to the channel where I share my financial journey to debt freedom and financial independence. If that's something you're interested in, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to stay connected. Today we're reviewing my numbers for the first quarter of 2025 to see if I'm on track to reach my goals by the end of the year. The software that I've been using to record my screen is not recording in high quality, and that means that the recording process on my computer is going to be a little different than usual. So while we're actually going through the reports on Monarch Money, I'm just going to minimize my face so you all can see my screen, and then towards the end of the video when I start talking about my goals, I'll just bring my face back up again. So hopefully it's not too disorienting, and it should only be temporary while I figure out how to record my screen in high quality. And without further ado, let's get into it. So we're here in Monarch Money on the Reports tab, and I have the date filters to be from Q4 2024 to Q1 2025, so we can see the quarters side by side as we're going through the numbers and see what the differences were. The first thing we're going to take a look at is my income. And on the left, we have Q4 2024. We see that my paychecks from my 9-to-5 job take up the majority of my income, which is as expected. And then I also had some miscellaneous income from gifts, business income, and interest from my high yield savings accounts. So my total income for Q4 2024 was $9,409.28. Moving over to Q1 2025, we see pretty much the same distribution. My 9-to-5 is the primary source of income. And in addition to my paychecks, I also had a couple more reimbursements than usual, a little bit more business income, and some miscellaneous income from other sources. So my total income for Q1 2025 was $10,291.31. That was an increase from the previous quarter by $882.03. The biggest reason being that I got a pay raise in 2025, which was 5%, so that should be the new normal for the rest of the year. The next thing I want to talk about is my 401k retirement account, which is my only investment account right now as I'm prioritizing saving up money and paying off debt. And the first thing I want to do is go to my spreadsheet and show you the investments tab so you all can see the breakdown of my contributions so far. So in Q4 2024, I was contributing 2% of my income, which was $83.34. But now that I have a 5% increase, my 2% contribution has increased to $91.66. And I have to contribute a minimum of 2% in order to get the employer match for my job. Since I got a pay raise, my job will also be contributing a little bit more. And going back to Monarch to see how my contributions are affecting the increase of my 401k balance, we can see that in the beginning of October, my balance was $2,177.66. And if we forward all the way to March 31st, 2025, we can see that my balance increased to $3,057.05, which is $879.39 than it was 6 months ago. And that is a 40% increase. The next area of comparison that I want to make is my savings rate. So I'm going to head over to the cash flow tab. I had a 0% savings rate in Q4 2024. I really wanted to have a higher savings rate in 2025, but that was wishful thinking because throughout the entirety of the quarter, I had a lot of annual expenses come out, and I was withdrawing from my sinking funds a lot to cover that. But nonetheless, my savings rate for Q1 2025 was 8.5%. I'm glad that I was at least able to add a little bit more to my savings, but now that all of my annual spending is completely done for the year, I plan to increase my savings at a much faster rate going forward. The next thing I want to compare is my expenses. So we're going to head over to the spending tab, again using the same date filters. And with these two quarters side by side, we can see that the distribution of all of my main categories is pretty much the same. However, we can see that my rent seems to have increased a lot in Q1 2025, and that's not the case. I've had the same rent for almost a year now, But last year I had a lot of credits and refunds and things like that. And so now that everything has kind of smoothed out, it looks like I'm paying more towards my rent when I'm really not. It's just now I'm paying the amount that I should have been paying all along. I definitely haven't been making heavy debt payments. Since my student loan payments are on pause, I really want to prioritize my savings. I'm also noticing that I had over $700 of unplanned expenses in 2024. And for those who have been following for a long time, I renamed the category that's always been in my budget, known as safety net, to unplanned. I just figured it would be much easier to explain what that category is for anybody who might be tuning in for the first time. So for 2025, my unplanned expenses decreased almost $300, which is really good. And I think by the end of the year, I'll have a better expectation of how much I should be budgeting for unplanned expenses. And that'll give me a more accurate number of how much money I should have in my savings. That'll be a really important number to look at for future quarters. And then if we compare the totals for Q4 2024, my total spending was $9,742.53. And for Q1 2025, that was $9,417.03. So I spent $300 less than the previous quarter. I'm expecting that to be even lower since most of my annual spending is out of the way. And the last thing that I want to look at in Monarch is my net worth. So we're going to head back over to the accounts page, and I'm just going to switch this graph to the net worth breakdown and making sure that this drop down is at quarterly. So for Q4 2024, my net worth was negative $11,893.85. And for Q1 2025, my net worth was negative $7,950.10, which is a total increase in my net worth by $3,943.75. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to increase my net worth by almost $4,000 every quarter. If I could, that would be great. But this is just more confirmation that I should reach a positive net worth before the end of the year. The last thing I want to share on my screen is my projections dashboard in my Google spreadsheet. And I've already entered in my numbers for January, February, and March, which is Q1 2025. And we can see some of my projections here. So I want to go over these before I set my goals for next quarter. In terms of my cash, it's predicting that I'll have about $4,000 between my checking and my savings accounts. But I think it's going to be a little bit higher than that since I have paid off a lot of expenses over the past couple of months. And then for my investments, it's predicting about $3,600 by the end of Q2, which I think is pretty accurate. And then my debt, not going to be making any payments on those until next year. And then for the exciting part, it is predicting that my net worth will be negative $5,800 by the end of June, which would be an increase of about $2,000 from where I am right now. Because I expect my cash to be a little bit higher, I think that my net worth would be a little bit higher as well. All right, my face is back on screen so that way we can talk about my goals, and I have them here in front of me, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. So for Q1 2025, my first goal was to completely pay off Affirm, and I paid it off on January 3rd, like the day I got paid. And that was an amazing way to start my year. I talked about the payments and everything in my 2025 reset video, so be sure to check that out if you want to see all the details of how I paid that off. And my second and final goal was to get my first credit card. I already planned to put down the $200 security deposit for the credit card, and I was able to do that before the quarter was up. I didn't technically get approved and actually get the card until April, but I'm still considering that goal to be complete because I had the money and all I had to do was use it and apply and get the card. And now I want to talk about my goals for Q2. My first goal is to get my credit score up. Now that I actually have a credit card, I will finally get out of just like this dead space in my credit score where it's just been at the same number forever. So I don't have a specific number in mind because this process is going to be new to me and I don't know how quickly it's going to increase my credit score, but I'm just hoping for a positive increase and I think I'll be good with that. My second goal is to cash out my first YouTube paycheck. I have a $100 minimum threshold before I can withdraw, and things have been a little slow. Unsurprisingly, though, because I haven't been posting as consistently as I would like. So I really want to get better with that and hopefully reach the minimum so I can actually withdraw the money. My third goal is to get my net worth under negative 5,000. If I get below negative 5,000 by the middle of the year, like June, July, then I should be on track to have a positive net worth by the end of the year. And my fourth and final goal is to save 1 month of necessary expenses in my emergency fund. This is going to be about $2,200, and I currently have $855 in there now. So I'm pretty confident that I can achieve this goal pretty quickly since I have a lot more discretionary money in my monthly cash flow now that I have paid off a significant amount of debts and I don't have anything due right now. So that was it for my review on Q1 2025, as well as talking about my goals and what I should expect in Q2. I'm trying to be more specific with the goals that I share in my financial updates because I think it makes it a little bit more tangible when I actually have specific numbers besides all of the goals. So please do return the favor and share your goals that you worked on in Q1, as well as the ones you'll be working on in Q2. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.